After waking up from a hangover, Zhang Tuohai discovered that the world had entered a game called highway survival. A person, a car, searching for supplies on an endless road, struggling to survive. Here, crises abound, and many people die in search of supplies. Zhang Tuohai discovered that he had awakened the prompt system. There are resources in the supply box on the left, don't touch the one on the right, there are crocodiles inside. Turn right ahead, road collapse will occur on the left. Parking, there is a level 4 material box hanging on the roadside tree top, which contains a picture of the RV renovation. While everyone was still struggling to survive with caution, Zhang Tuohai was already able to drive a motorhome and eat hot pot. Keywords of the novel. Highway survival, I have a prompt system without pop-ups. Highway survival, I have a prompt system for downloading the complete set of TXT. Highway survival, I have a prompt system for reading the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Road Survival Game. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Road Survival Game. Welcome to the Highway Survival Game. To survive, one must remember the rules of the game. 1. Each player has a used car as a tool for action, and other supplies need to be obtained by themselves. 2. There will be scattered material boxes on the road, please try to collect them as much as possible, this is the key to survival. 3. There are not only supplies in the supply box, but also unknown risks. Please face each supply box with caution. 4. Death in any way in the game will truly mean death. 5. Don't trust other players, they may be your allies or they may be interested in your supplies. 6. Upgrade your vehicle as much as possible, more equipment can help you withstand more disasters, only it can help you reach the finish line. 7. Driving at night may encounter more dangers, please choose carefully. 8. There will be a disaster every 7 days, please prepare before the disaster occurs. This week's disaster. Double-day sky crossing. 9. Close your eyes and silently recite the game board for more consultation. 10. Elderly, children, and other unsuitable individuals will not participate in this game. Friendly reminder. The speed of the moment is not a big deal, only the person who reaches the finish line alive is the ultimate winner. Wishing everyone a pleasant game. Zhang Tuohai frowned and looked at everything in front of him. A 4-lane asphalt road. On both sides of the road are endless deserts. The scorching wind carried yellow sand and beat against the face, making people feel painful. The scorching sun hung high in the center of the sky. The scorching sunlight made people unable to open their eyes, and beads of sweat as big as beans kept rolling down. Zhang Tuohai rested his hand on the steering wheel and breathed a sigh of relief as he watched the apocalyptic scene outside. Is it a survival game? He just had a hangover all night and didn't expect to wake up again and travel through this strange game. At this moment, he was sitting on a second-hand old car. The sun visor is half suspended above, the dashboard screen is also shattered, the seat cover is cracked, and the whole car looks in a state of disrepair. Zhang Tuohai's gaze fell on the gasoline meter. A line of words emerged. The remaining oil quantity is 200 units, and 1 unit is consumed per kilometer. Turn your head and look to the side. There is a pry bar on the passenger seat. A rough pry bar is a great helper to help you open a material box, but you can also use it to open something else, such as a teammate's head. There is nothing else in the car besides this pry bar. Oh, it's really all about collecting by oneself. The top priority is to understand the mechanics of the game first, and then consider how to survive. Zhang Tuohai closed his eyes and silently recited the game board in his heart. A light blue panel appeared in front of him. The content includes World Channel, Regional Channel, Trading Zone, Manufacturing, and Private Message. Zhang Tuohai was the first to enter the World Channel. Can someone help me? Where is this? There is yellow sand on both sides of the road, how should I leave? Is there only one crowbar around you? Is there anything else? Is there water? I'm almost thirsty, I can exchange it with a crowbar. I'm starving to death, who can give me something to eat? One message after another slipped by, with not much information besides complaints. Zhang Tuohai noticed a mark next to the send button. 1. Today's speech count system prompt. World channel, speak once a day. After each disaster, speak one more per day. If you want to chat freely, please go to the regional channel. Is this restricting players from exchanging information? Zhang Tuohai pondered deeply. Based on the information revealed in everyone's speeches, everyone's situation is the same. They only have one car. It seems that survival can only rely on oneself. Zhang Tuohai turned his gaze to the regional channel. The interface is similar to QQ group chat, with 5,000 members. The avatars are all real-person photos, and the names are also real names. Zhang Tuohai silently glanced at the screen for a while, and the content in the message was similar to that of the World Channel, all of which were non-nutritious things. No one has yet set out to explore. Zhang Tuohai originally wanted to see what others had explored. After all, the initial rules of the game stated that there were items in the supply box and there were also dangers involved. So, it's best for someone to try it out. However, it seems that no one has set off yet. Shaking his head, Zhang Tuohai continued to study the game board. The trading area is a platform for exchanging goods, allowing players to exchange things without charging any transaction fees. However, there is nothing empty now. The manufacturing area can manufacture things, but there is no recipe here and players need to provide manufacturing drawings. And the manufacturing drawings can only be obtained from the material box. Private messages, like mailboxes on various games and social media platforms, allow for 1.on.1 communication. After studying all the features, Zhang Tuohai withdrew from the game board. He has two options now. One is to continue waiting here, waiting for others to uncover the news, and then selflessly post it on the channel. The second is to personally set out to search for supplies. Choosing the first point is very safe, there is no need to take any risks, but it will put fate in the hands of others. Choosing the second point requires taking on some risks. Zhang Tuohai prefers to control his own destiny. Moreover, he had a hangover and now his stomach is empty, which naturally puts him at a disadvantage compared to others. He can't afford it. Moreover, there will be a 2-day sky disaster 7 days later. If we can't be prepared before that, we will also die. We need to hurry up. Zhang Tuohai turned the key and pressed the accelerator. A second-hand car is heading towards an unknown direction. Although there were no cars on the road and no cameras to capture footage at any time, Zhang Tuohai still controlled his speed at 30 miles per hour, scanning the road back and forth with his eyes, searching for the material box. The scenery on both sides of the road remains unchanged, always endless yellow sand, as if it will continue until the end of the world. Waves of heat carrying yellow sand blew in, making Zhang Tuohai dry and thirsty. Zhang Tuohai raised the car window and wanted to turn on the air conditioning to cool himself, but was surprised to find that there was no air conditioning in this rundown car. A miser. Zhang Tuohai cursed the organizer in a low voice. Suddenly, a white box not far away caught Zhang Tuohai's attention. A 1-foot square wooden box painted white was placed in the center of the road. Is this the supply box? Zhang Tuohai slowly stopped the car, grabbed the crowbar from the passenger seat, and cautiously got off the car, coming to the side of the material box. Zhang Tuohai focused his gaze on the white wooden box, and a line of words suddenly appeared. Level 1 material box, the most basic material box, may contain materials or may contain some danger. This is a note from the game. Indeed, opportunities and crises coexist. Is it time to compete for character? Zhang Tuohai thought to himself. At this moment, a sound of electronic synthesis rang in Zhang Tuohai's ear. Prompt system binding successful. The wooden box in front has a bottle of mineral water and a piece of whole wheat bread, which is not dangerous and can be opened with confidence. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Level 1 Catcher. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Level 1 Catcher, System. Zhang Tuohai was momentarily taken aback, then his face lit up with joy. If he had a system, it would be much more convenient for him in the future. System, are you there? Zhang Tuohai attempted to inquire. The system remained silent. Zhang Tuohai asked several times in his heart, but the system remained silent without any response. Can't communicate. Zhang Tuohai guessed in his heart. However, the most important thing now is to open the material box and verify the accuracy of the system. Zhang Tuohai came to the white material box and inserted the flat end of the pry bar into the gap of the lid, then forcefully exerted a downward force. With a creak, the lid of the supply box was pried open. The supply box flickered and disappeared, then revealing the contents inside. A bottle of bottled mineral water and a piece of whole wheat bread wrapped in nitrogen fell to the ground. Zhang Tuohai quickly picked up the mineral water and bread. There are only 3 words written on the mineral water bottle, including the production location and time. The same goes for the bread packaging, which only includes 4 words for whole wheat bread and no other information. If it were normal, Zhang Tuohai would never touch this kind of 3 no products. However, now Zhang Tuohai's stomach is empty, and the rolling stomach acid is making him extremely uncomfortable. He can't care too much anymore, so he tore open the packaging and stuffed the bread into his mouth. The aroma of whole wheat bread instantly spread in the mouth, and the bread was as sweet and soft as if it had just been taken out of the oven. Eating a portion of whole wheat bread in 3 bites and 2 bites has greatly reduced the soreness in the stomach. Zhang Tuohai twisted on the mineral water again and drank half a bottle in 1 gulp, feeling much more comfortable. Although he was still a bit thirsty, after looking at only half a bottle of mineral water left, Zhang Tuohai tightened the bottle cap and carefully put it away. I don't know when the next supply box will be found, so I need to save some time. After searching for the first supply box, Zhang Tuohai had a clear idea and continued driving, scanning the road back and forth with his eyes. This time, the car was driven for about 40 minutes before Zhang Tuohai discovered the material box again. And there are still 2. 2 white material boxes are placed on the left and right in the center of the road. Surprisingly, there are 2. Could it also be bread and water? Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up. He didn't even have enough to eat that bread just now, and with this level of bread, he can eat at least 4. Zhang Tuohai picked up the crowbar and jumped off the car. Before he could even take action, the electronic synthesizer began to sound again. There is a mouse carrying bacteria in the left supply box, which has a certain chance of contracting the Black Death if bitten. There is a level 1 equipment manufacturing drawing in the box on the right. Big mouse. The Black Death. Upon hearing these 2 words, Zhang Tuohai instinctively took 2 steps back. He had long heard of the name of the Black Death. It is said that during the Middle Ages, the Black Death killed 1/3 of Europeans. In this environment where medical facilities are extremely scarce and materials are collected solely by oneself, getting sick or injured is likely to mean death. Not to mention the almost fatal Black Death. Following the principle of caution, Zhang Tuohai chose to stay away from the box on the left. Zhang Tuohai carefully moved to the box on the right and used a pry bar to knock open the lid of the box. The supply box disappeared, revealing a piece of parchment. Zhang Tuohai picked up the parchment. Level 1 Water Collector. The lowest level of water collector that can collect 1.2 liters of water per day. The yield may vary depending on the environment. Resources required for construction. For units of metal fragments, 2 units of metal parts, and 2 units of glass fragments. Seeing the description on the blueprint, Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up. According to scientific research, a person's normal daily water intake is approximately 2 liters. If one does not consider physical health and only needs to maintain life, it can be compressed to 1 liter or even less. That is to say, as long as Zhang Tuohai builds this water collector, he can basically meet his water supply needs. If he compresses his own needs a bit, he can even come up with some to sell in exchange for the resources he needs. As a core player of simulation management games, Zhang Tuohai is very aware of the importance of first-mover advantage. As long as the advantage is established at the beginning, resources will gather towards him like snowballs, and his development speed will become faster and faster, using the advantages of resources and technology to cut the wool of others. The only problem now is how to obtain resources and first build the water collector. Zhang Tuohai's gaze fixed on the remaining half bottle of mineral water he had drunk. Zhang Tuohai returned to the car, closed his eyes and focused, entering the game board. At this time, there are still many people on the chat channel complaining about why they were selected for the highway survival game. A few pioneers were cursing the stinginess of the contents in the supply box. I just opened a supply box and 2 units of glass fragments came out. What's the use of this useless thing? I just opened a broken metal plate and got bitten by a big mouse. Do you have any medicine to treat tetanus? Woo-woo, I just got 10 units of gasoline. Whoever has water, let's exchange it. I'm so thirsty I can't stand it. Squatting on the chat channel for 5 minutes, I found that no one mentioned the manufacturing drawings and information about the prompt system. It seems that I am quite lucky. If it weren't for the prompt system, it would probably be me lying in the car requesting rescue. Zhang Tuohai felt relieved for a moment and then opened the trading channel, hanging the half bottle of mineral water. Sale. 300 milliliters of mineral water. Exchange. 8 units of metal fragments plus 8 units of metal parts plus 8 units of glass fragments. Note. If there are other valuable items available for private chat, the reason why Zhang Tuohai spoke up so loudly was mainly to give the other party space to negotiate. Otherwise, if the other party uses other important resources to offset the price difference, he may not be able to build the water collector in a timely manner. After hanging the transaction information, Zhang Tuohai prepared to continue driving to search for supplies. However, just as he was about to launch, his gaze once again fell on the resource box containing mice. If I take this box away, can I give someone a sneak peek at the critical moment? Zhang Tuohai suddenly had this idea in his mind. With the idea of giving it a try, Zhang Tuohai got off the car again and walked to the side of the material box, trying to move it. The material box was very light, and Zhang Tuohai effortlessly lifted it. Sure enough, it's possible. Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up. He carefully placed the supplies box on the back seat of the car. If no one bothers me, it's okay. If someone doesn't have eyes. Zhang Tuohai glanced at the white material box placed on the back seat of the car, revealing a sneer. After driving for about half an hour, Zhang Tuohai once again discovered a white material box. There is a roll of hemostatic bandage and a ham sausage in the supply box. There is no danger, please open it with confidence. The prompt system once again gave a prompt. Zhang Tuohai pried open the supply box and harvested a sealed hemostatic bandage and a ham sausage that was about the same thickness as meat grains. There is also no brand logo. Suppressing the urge to eat, Zhang Tuohai put away the ham sausage. He doesn't have much supplies yet, so ham and sausages should be used as reserve rations and cannot be wasted at will. Meanwhile, Zhang Tuohai also gained a preliminary understanding of the game. He drove for about 2 hours and encountered a total of 4 supply boxes. Except for one containing a mouse from the Black Death, the remaining 3 were all filled with various supplies. That is to say, as long as you dare to drive forward, there will be some gains to some extent. In addition, with the exchange of resources on the trading channels, it is not a problem to obtain materials that can survive. Unless they stay in place all the time, hoping for help from others, most people can withstand the initial test. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Intelligence and Production of Catchers. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 3 Intelligence and Production of Catchers. After collecting the third batch of supplies, Zhang Tuohai returned to the car. This time he didn't immediately hit the road. Driving continuously for 2 hours, coupled with searching for supplies, has caused him to expend a lot of mental energy. Now he needs to take a break. Taking advantage of this time, Zhang Tuohai closed his eyes and opened the game board, ready to see how the half bottle of mineral water he had hung was selling. After summoning the game board, Zhang Tuohai was startled and hundreds or even thousands of people approached him to communicate. The number of private messages has already exceeded 99. Great God, where did you get your mineral water from? I'm dying of thirst. Can you give me a bottle of water? Give me the water, go out and transfer 1 million to you. Zhang Tuohai flipped through it and found that most of the private messages were worthless information, so he deleted them directly. A small number of people have also obtained some resources and want Zhang Tuohai to lower the price. But the resources they have are really too limited. Not in line with Zhang Tuohai's psychological price range. Fortunately, Zhang Tuohai is not worried that his water will not be sold. On this road with deserts on both sides, water is the most precious resource, and no one will dislike having too much water. No matter what, there will always be someone who saves enough resources by the evening. Just as Zhang Tuohai was about to close the game board and continue searching for supplies, a new private message suddenly came in. Hello, I have relevant resources, but the quantity is not enough. However, there are other things that can be used to fill the price difference. Can you discuss them in detail? How many related resources are there? Zhang Tuohai replied to a private message. 5 units of broken glass, 6 units of metal fragments, and only 3 units of metal parts. The other party quickly replied to the message. Fortunately, it's enough to build the water collector. Zhang Tuohai breathed a sigh in his heart. Since the basic goals have been achieved, Zhang Tuohai has made up his mind to finalize this transaction. The only thing that needs to be seen now is how much more the other party is prepared to pay to fill the price difference. What are you going to use to fill the gap? Zhang Tuohai rubbed his hands and asked. The other party sent a screenshot. Lightweight tire manufacturing drawing. Level 1 tire manufacturing drawing. Requirement. 20 units of low-grade rubber, 20 units of metal fragments, and 16 units of metal parts. Effect. Reduce fuel consumption by 30%. Upon seeing this blueprint, Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up instantly. Lightweight tires may not seem like a survival resource and are of little use to everyone in their current situation. But in the long run, this is definitely an artifact. You should know that at the beginning, each of them only had 200 units of gasoline. How long can these 200 units of gasoline last? Based on a cruising speed of 30 miles, it can only be driven for nearly 7 hours. If new gasoline cannot be obtained to replenish within these 7 hours, the car will be unable to move. In this place, being unable to take action is equivalent to chronic death. Reducing fuel consumption by 30% is equivalent to more than 2 hours of exploration time compared to others. A supply box may determine life or death, let alone 2 hours. It can be said that the earlier you use this thing, the greater the benefit. It's simply a steady profit and no loss deal. Sure. Zhang Tuohai pressed the joy in his heart and replied to the message. You should know the value of this blueprint. If it weren't for my sister being injured, I would never have taken it out. You must add a medical resource for treating trauma, otherwise I won't be able to agree to this transaction. That side quickly replied with a long string of messages. Upon seeing the reply from the other party, Zhang Tuohai lightly tapped his finger on the steering wheel, calculating the pros and cons of the transaction. He has medical resources for treating external injuries. Moreover, with the prompt system, he can easily avoid those risks and basically won't get hurt. So, there's a high probability that this bandage in his hand will be ruined. It's very cost-effective for trading. However, there was a message in the other party's reply that piqued their interest. You just mentioned your sister, how did you get in touch? Are you with her? Are you in the same car or two cars? How did she get hurt? If you can tell me these, I can trade with you. In order to enhance the persuasiveness of his words, Zhang Tuohai also took a photo of the hemostatic bandage and sent it over. Hemostatic bandage. Used to bandage wounds. The bandage is coated with medication, which can reduce inflammation, kill bacteria, and promote wound healing. After the message was sent, the other side fell silent. However, Zhang Tuohai is not worried that the transaction will be affected. Because medical resources are the third most important resource after food and water. No one can guarantee that they will not be injured except for themselves, who have a warning system to avoid risks. A medical resource is a talisman that can save one's life in critical moments. Zhang Tuohai believes that at least at this stage, no one will take it out for sale. Taking advantage of this gap, Zhang Tuohai looked at the name of the person who sent him a message. It's a girl named Su Mu who looks very young. Sure enough, as expected by Zhang Tuohai, the other party sent a reply 3 minutes later. Actually, it's not a big deal to tell you this. My sister and I were both selected into the game. Fortunately, we were not far apart and successfully merged. These supplies were created by the two of us. My sister was injured by an explosion inside while opening a supply box, and the manufacturing drawing of this lightweight tire comes from that box. Surprisingly, it was an explosion. Upon hearing Su Mu's explanation, Zhang Tuohai was also surprised. He originally thought there was a danger in the supply box, such as a mad dog or a big mouse, but he didn't expect there to be an explosion. If this is not careful, it will directly take human life. At the same time, Zhang Tuohai deeply felt his luck. If it weren't for binding the prompt system, he might have fallen in front of the big mouse box. Can you ask what color the box is? Zhang Tuohai continued. Level 2 material box, blue, Su Mu replied. Is the higher the level of the material box, the greater the danger it contains. Zhang Tuohai noted down this speculation and then made a deal with Su Mu. Using half a bottle of water and a roll of hemostatic bandage, we switched to the resources for manufacturing water collectors and the production diagram for lightweight tires. After the transaction was completed, Zhang Tuohai immediately went to the manufacturing page. Detected drawing. Level 1 water collector, lightweight tire. The manufacturing materials for the first level water collector are complete. Is it manufactured? Manufacturing. With a buzzing sound, the blueprint and resources disappeared into a pool of liquid. After a moment, something like a water bottle appeared in Zhang Tuohai's hand. Level 1 water collector, capable of collecting 1.2 liters of pure water every 24 hours. Depending on external environment fluctuations, it can take effect by placing it in the car. Upgradable. Upgrade materials. 1 production drawing of level 2 water collector, 8 units of metal ingots, 4 units of metal parts, and 4 units of glass. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Wilderness, Challenge of the Brave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Wilderness, Challenge of the Brave finally made. Seeing the water collector in his hand, Zhang Tuohai was overjoyed. At this point, some small water droplets have started to condense on the bottle wall of the water collector, which looks like they can be taken and used at will, without the need to collect them every 24 hours. Carefully placing the water collector in the passenger seat, Zhang Tuohai continued to drive along the road, searching for supplies. However, he drove along the road for over an hour and didn't even find a supply box. This discovery made Zhang Tuohai somewhat anxious. According to the previous pattern, on average, there will be a supply box every 10 to 20 kilometers. But now he has advanced 40 kilometers and has not collected a single supply box. This is somewhat illogical. Moreover, He has been driving for 3 hours and has consumed half of the gasoline. If he cannot find the gasoline again, it may be dangerous. Did obtaining 2 drawings in a row increase the difficulty? Zhang Tuohai guessed in his heart. After much thought, Zhang Tuohai decided to go to the chat channel to inquire about the news. Close your eyes, concentrate, and Zhang Tuohai opens the game board. At this time, except for those lying flat waiting for rescue, most people in the regional channel are discussing material issues. Why is the supply box missing? I haven't found it for over an hour, and if I can't find any water, I'll be thirsty. Yeah, I used to stay well in the air-conditioned room and even flirt with the newly recruited secretary when I had nothing to do. I don't know who was so wicked and insisted on throwing me into this place to suffer. They arranged to drop a supply box on the road, but after searching for more than an hour, there was not a single one left. Yes. At first, they said there was a supply box on the road, but now they can't find it. Are you planning to make us all die of thirst and starvation here? Nearly 300 have already died, maybe it's our turn soon. As soon as the person finished speaking, a red system prompt popped up on the regional channel. Player Li Ming died due to dehydration. Zhang Tuohai looked up at the number of members in the group, and now the number of members had increased to 4,702. He clearly remembers that there were 5,000 people coming at the beginning, but why did he lose so much in the blink of an eye? Zhang Tuohai flipped up the system information. He was shocked to find that almost every minute, the regional channel would pop up a message about the player's death. The willingness of players to die is also diverse, including dehydration death, high-temperature fainting leading to death, some dying from explosives in the supply box, some dying from poisoning, some being bitten to death by beasts in the supply box, and the worst case being someone drinking sewage and suffering from acute diarrhea, resulting in dehydration death. Have so many people died yet? It's really dangerous. Seeing the dense death messages, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but feel a chill in his back. At the same time, Zhang Tuohai felt a wave of happiness in his heart, grateful that he had obtained the prompt system. Otherwise, I'm afraid I've already become a member of the deceased. How can I have a good peek here? However, what is the reason for the disappearance of resources on the road? Just as everyone was speculating, a system prompt suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Version update prompt. In order to increase difficulty, a limited time challenge section. Brave challenge has been added. Rule. Starting from today, the Brave challenge will automatically enter from December 2000, noon to 6 o'clock p.m. every day. During this period, all material boxes will be refreshed in the wilderness on both sides of the road. If you have confidence in your own strength, you can go to the wilderness to retrieve material boxes. To match the difficulty, all material boxes refreshed in the wilderness have a 50% chance of increasing one level. Serious warning. There are countless risks lurking in the wilderness. Players are advised to act within their capabilities. The challenge of the brave. Is the supply box refreshed in the wilderness? Is there a hidden risk in the wilderness? Increase the probability of material boxes by 1 level. Zhang Tuohai sorted out some information. Isn't this high risk and high return? Utilize better resources to allow players to face higher dangers in the wilderness. Do you want to try the wilderness? Zhang Tuohai lowered his head and pondered. I'm done. I'll go explore the wilderness. Anyway, staying here will eventually lead to getting trapped. It's better to try my luck. If I die, it can be considered a relief, someone said first. I think it's better to stay here and wait for rescue. As long as we all refuse to search for supplies and cooperate, maybe they will let us go. Some people clearly don't want to take action. That's right, 300 people died just now while searching for supplies on the road. Now we have to go to more dangerous wilderness, and the chance of death is definitely higher. Whoever wants to go, I won't go anyway. Humph, then you can stay here and see what you should do when there's no food to eat tomorrow. There are clearly two factions within the regional channel, one advocating to try their luck in the wilderness, and the other advocating to stay in place, at least until tomorrow's challenge time has passed, and then take advantage of the morning to search for supplies on the road, which reduces the risk. Both factions have their own opinions, and neither can convince the other. Zhang Tuohai looked at the noisy regional channel, shook his head, and exited the game board. He is planning to try it out in the wilderness. For others, the wilderness may be full of danger, but for him it may not be. He has a prompt system. Since the prompt system can help him avoid the danger in the supply box, it may also be useful in the wilderness. If the prompt system can help him avoid danger in the wilderness, then the challenge time of the brave is an excellent opportunity for him to obtain resources. And he also has reasons to go to the wilderness. That is, 7 days later there will be a disaster called double-day flying. Flying in the sky on 2 days, just by listening to the name, it is clear that it should not be underestimated. Just a few hours ago, 300 people died on the regional channel. What about on the day of the 2-day sky crossing? If preparations cannot be made in advance, even if the first 6 days are passed, death will be waiting for them on the 7th day. It is precisely for this reason that he must seek every opportunity to collect supplies and increase his chances of surviving disaster days. Zhang Tuohai picked up the self-defense lever, carried the water collector into his arms, pulled out the car key, and walked towards the desert. As soon as Zhang Tuohai got off the car, he felt waves of heat. The scorching sun scorched the road, even through the soles of the shoes, one could feel the warmth of the road surface. Zhang Tuohai estimated that throwing an egg on the road now would cook in a few minutes. The scorching wind occasionally blows by. However, these winds not only fail to bring even a hint of coolness, but also make the body even hotter. Not only that, the wind was also carrying fine yellow sand. In no time, Zhang Tuohai's face was stained with a layer of fine sand and dust. These sandstorms, mixed with sweat flowing down his forehead, quickly turned into mud and hung on Zhang Tuohai's body, which was very uncomfortable. However, Zhang Tuohai didn't care about these things at this moment. He carefully observed the surroundings and first used a crowbar to explore the desert in front of him. After confirming that there were no problems, he took a step forward and stepped into the desert area from the road. At the same time, the electronic synthesized sound of the prompt system rang again. There is a hidden quicksand pit 100 meters ahead, and one will die if caught in it. There is a pile of white bones under the yellow sand 200 meters ahead at 11 o'clock. Accidentally stepping in may puncture the soles of the shoes and cause tetanus. At 3 o'clock, go 500 meters ahead and cross the sand dune. Behind the sand dune, there is a level 2 material box with 2 buckets of instant noodles, a tea egg and a liter of mineral water. Indeed useful. Upon hearing the electronic synthesized sound prompt, Zhang Tuohai excitedly waved his fist. His guess was correct, and the prompt system was also useful in the wilderness. Zhang Tuohai walked quickly towards the sand dune. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Double Harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Double Harvest. Zhang Tuohai arrived at the bottom of the sand dune and tried to climb upwards. But the entire sand dune is made up of fine sand, which feels a bit soft and unstressed when stepped on. When walking on flat ground, it's okay, but when climbing up the sand dunes, it's easy for your feet to get stuck in the sand. Within 2 steps of climbing, Zhang Tuohai's shoes were filled with various fine sands and he almost lost them. At this point, the temperature on the surface of the sand was at least over 40 degrees Celsius, scorching hot to the extreme. Zhang Tuohai couldn't imagine the consequences of walking barefoot on such sand. Would it be better to walk around from both sides of the sand dune? Zhang Tuohai pondered in his heart. Please climb straight along the sand dune to the top. There is a quicksand vortex on the left side of the sand dune, and a bad-tempered black scorpion is hidden on the right side of the sand dune. It seemed like sensing Zhang Tuohai's thoughts, and the electronic synthesizer immediately sounded. Hiss. Zhang Tuohai took a deep breath, not realizing that there were still such sinister traps hidden on both sides of the seemingly ordinary sand dunes. If it weren't for the prompt system, he might have been hit. Even he almost said, it's hard to imagine how ordinary people without systems would have to endure such a great test. If it weren't for a burst of luck, it would be difficult to fully retreat from the desert. Upon receiving the prompt from the system, Zhang Tuohai dared not think about those shortcuts anymore and obediently climbed along the route towards the top of the sand dune. Zhang Tuohai inserted the crowbar into the sand dune as a crutch and climbed up towards the top of the dune, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. By the time Zhang Tuohai climbed to the top of the sand dune with both hands and feet, he was already covered in sand and dust. He had just climbed to the top of the sand dune when he saw the blue supply box neatly placed behind the dune. Level 2 material box, a slightly higher level material box, may contain materials or may contain some danger. This is a note for the game system. Level 2 material box, which contains 2 barrels of instant noodles, 1 tea egg and 1 liter of mineral water. There is no danger. Please open it with confidence. This is the prompt given by the prompt system. After hearing the prompt from the system, Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up and he crawled 2 steps to the blue material box. With a loud bang, he inserted the pry bar into the gap of the material box, pressed down hard, and lifted the lid of the material box. Shwa! The blue supply box disappeared instantly, revealing the contents inside. 2 buckets of instant noodles, 1 for Laotan pickled Chinese cabbage and 1 for braised beef. Tea egg are packed in vacuum. Next to it is a large 1-liter bottle of mineral water. Indeed, great danger comes with great harvest. Zhang Tuohai excitedly hugged all the supplies in his arms. With these supplies, it's enough for him to consume today. If you save a bit, you can even have tomorrow's breakfast. Digging down 1 meter, there is a white resource box containing 80 units of gasoline and 1 coat. Surprisingly, it's a double yolk egg. Upon hearing the voice beside him, Zhang Tuohai's spirit was shaken. He didn't expect to get 2 supply boxes at once when he entered the desert. The material box buried under the sand pile may only be white, but the materials inside are very important. Gasoline goes without saying, it is the 3rd most important resource after food and water. With gasoline, one can travel further and search for more resources. These 80 units of gasoline are enough for him to cruise for 2.3 hours. Based on the frequency of obtaining a supply box around 10.20 kilometers before, this gasoline is sufficient to ensure that he can obtain 4.8 supply boxes tomorrow, and should be able to obtain enough survival supplies. Zhang Tuohai quickly pushed aside supplies such as instant noodles and dug down into the sand with both hands. Zhang Tuohai, who had only eaten a piece of bread, dug a few times before gasping for breath. However, he didn't stop to rest, instead he continued to dig downwards. Because the surroundings were filled with sand, every time he dug out a handful of sand, half a handful of fine sand flowed in, which made Zhang Tuohai's excavation work proceed very slowly. Moreover, the scorching sand exposed to the sun made Zhang Tuohai's hands feel a bit red and swollen. If it were an ordinary person, they might have given up long ago in the absence of tools. However, Zhang Tuohai is well aware of how important the resources below are to him and has been working hard to dig deeper. He dug a 1-meter deep pit for over an hour, and his fingers were worn to the point of losing consciousness. His hands trembled uncontrollably as he lost force. When Zhang Tuohai saw the white material box, his eyes were already shining with stars. Twisting open the mineral water bottle, taking a sip, and resting against the sand pile for a while, Zhang Tuohai finally breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the sun hanging high in the sky, grabbed the pry bar, inserted it into the gap of the material box, and pressed it down hard. The white material box was opened. Exposed the contents inside. A small tin bucket with the words 80 and gasoline written on it. Next to it was a neatly stacked black coat. 80 units of gasoline were discovered a coat. This is a prompt given by the game system. Great. Seeing the resources, Zhang Tuohai felt his whole body full of energy again. He excitedly picked up the gasoline bucket. With this barrel of gasoline, his itinerary for tomorrow will be settled. Zhang Tuohai threw the gasoline bucket out of the sand pit, then picked up the coat and carefully observed. This is an old-fashioned coat with a black camel velvet surface on the outside and fine short fur on the inside. It is as long as Zhang Tuohai's calves and is estimated to be warm enough to withstand temperatures of around -10 degrees Celsius. However, Zhang Tuohai looked up at the scorching sun above his head. The temperature in this desert is as high as 30.40 degrees, why do you need such a coat? What is the bad taste of material delivery personnel? Zhang Tuohai speculated. However, they are all unpacked and not taken for free. Zhang Tuohai also took his coat with him. After leaving the sand pit, Zhang Tuohai returned to the car with his supplies along the original route. Throwing all the supplies onto the back seat, Zhang Tuohai rested on his seat and entered the regional channel, ready to see how everyone was doing. At first glance, it frightened Zhang Tuohai quite a bit. The regional channel has been swiped in red by the system. Line by line, all the players' death information. Until now, death messages are still rolling upwards from time to time. The number of people on regional channels has dropped to 3,028. Moreover, the numbers are constantly shrinking. That is to say, in less than 2 hours just now, more than 1,700 people died. Zhang Tuohai was mesmerized by the numbers. It wasn't until the sun set that the rolling death messages gradually stopped. The group members of the regional channel were ultimately fixed at 2,712 people. A brave challenge resulted in the death of over 2,000 players in this area. The discount rate is nearly half. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Drawing of Dafengshou, salad of assorted fresh vegetables, and Crossbow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Drawing of Dafengshou, salad of assorted fresh vegetables, and Crossbow. Watching the dense death messages on the regional channel, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but feel waves of coldness on his back. Behind each death message, there is a vivid passing of life. Before the first day had passed, almost half of the people on the regional channel had already died. How many people are left after the 7th day of disaster? Zhang Tuohai couldn't imagine it anymore. At the same time, he was also extremely fortunate to have obtained the prompt system himself. Otherwise, he would have been trapped and killed by endless traps. The sun fell below the horizon and the sky darkened. The night in the other world is a bit strange. There is no moon, stars are very rare, and the road is dark. If it exceeds 10 meters, nothing can be seen clearly. Zhang Tuohai wanted to turn on the headlights, but found out that this old car didn't even have any headlights. Zhang Tuohai no longer knows what to say. He dare not tarnish his vision and embark on the road. Moreover, the initial game tip also stated that driving at night can be dangerous. Since the daytime is so dangerous, it can be imagined how terrifying the danger that can be specifically indicated by the game system would be. Zhang Tuohai decided to sleep in the car at night and search for supplies tomorrow. I opened a bucket of instant noodles, but due to the lack of boiling water, Zhang Tuohai could only eat noodles. Crush the pancake, sprinkle half a bag of seasoning, and shake well. Let's just reminisce about childhood. Zhang Tuohai opened the regional channel while eating noodles to see what everyone was talking about. I'm so thirsty. I've been searching for a supply box all day, filled with various rubber and metal parts, without even a drop of water. Whoever has water, I'm willing to exchange all the resources with him. Wake up, take a look at the terrain around you. Desert. Fools all know that the most scarce thing in the desert is water resources, and no one will sell water resources. Wait until tomorrow to see if we can find water. Tell upstairs a hot knowledge that you can't drink urine without water. It's self-produced and self-sold, and can last for 2 days. Do you think I don't want to? Even drinking urine requires a container. I don't even have a bottle. How do I drink? Bottle. I have it, but I can't give it to you for free. You have to exchange the resources. Seeing the information on the forum, Zhang Tuohai's heart was moved. Many people who are still active in regional channels now have some supplies to some extent. And what they lack the most is water resources. I can definitely take this opportunity to exchange all the resources in their hands with water. With this in mind, Zhang Tuohai took the 1-liter bottle of mineral water into his hand and asked with his mind, can a whole bottle of water be sold separately? Sure, the game platform answered very decisively. If it can be split, then there's no problem. Zhang Tuohai hung the liter of mineral water on the exchange channel. Selling mineral water, 200 milliliters of mineral water in exchange for 6 portions, limited to metal parts, low-grade rubber, metal fragments, metal ingots, glass. A total of 50 portions, first come, first served. Note: if you have special resources or drawings, you can chat privately. After hanging up, Zhang Tuohai returned to the regional channel and shouted, the trading channel can buy water now, a total of 50 shares. Brothers with resources, hurry up. Zhang Tuohai's voice caused a sensation on the regional channel. What is it that someone really sells water? Why use resources to buy it? Is money okay? I'll give you 10,000 cash and 1 Rolex. Why limit resources? Can't I exchange plastic shards and weeds for a job? At least it's from the material box. Big brother, do you have anything to eat? I haven't eaten for a day. I have 20 units of wood, just give me a loaf of bread. There is a lot of noise in the regional channel. However, although there was a lot of noise in the regional channels, these people were not slow at all and were quickly sold out with just 1 liter of water. Zhang Tuohai sorted out his gains. He obtained a total of 36 units of metal fragments, 28 units of low-grade rubber, 28 units of metal parts, 6 units of glass, and 2 units of metal ingots. In addition, with the remaining resources accumulated in his hands, he was able to make lightweight tires. Even the resources for upgrading the 2nd-level water collector have been saved up for the most part. With only 6 metal ingots and key manufacturing drawings left, the water collector can be upgraded to level 2. Seeing that the water had been sold out, people on the channel started shouting one after another. Big brother, do you still have water? Let's sell a little more. I'm slow and didn't get it. Yeah, let's sell it a little more. Can I share 3% of the resources? I have 6 units of wood, all for you, and I'll add an authentic lace. Just give me a glass of water, please. For these messages, Zhang Tuohai directly blocked them, leaving only one sentence. We sold out today, what we want to buy, please be early tomorrow. He did not reply. Some people who haven't bought the water are still pleading on the channel, while others are cursing loudly. Looking at the mixed information, Zhang Tuohai shook his head and prepared to withdraw to manufacture lightweight tires. At this moment, a private message happened to be delivered. The sender is still an old acquaintance, Su Mu. Do you still have water and food? I don't have resources, but I have a blueprint. Drawing for making crossbows. Level 1 weapon with a range of 50 meters, requiring 2 units of metal ingots, 10 units of metal fragments, 8 units of metal parts, and 8 units of low-level rubber. Note: after making the crossbow, 10 crossbows will be equipped. If you need new crossbows, please find the crossbow making drawings for production. Upon seeing the blueprint, Zhang Tuohai's heart was moved. This world is not as safe as the original world, a self-defense weapon is very necessary. More importantly, he has all the resources needed to manufacture a crossbow, and as soon as he has the blueprint, he can make it. He looked at the collector. There is already enough water inside. Here is 500 milliliters of water, plus a tea egg, Zhang Tuohai replied. It's too little. At least 1 liter of water, 6 tea egg and 6 pieces of bread are needed. Su Mu replied angrily. Seeing Su Mu's reply, Zhang Tuohai smiled. It's impossible. No one can afford to buy so many materials now, and only I can afford to buy them now. I guess you have asked many people with this drawing. They certainly don't have the price I offered. The maximum is 400 milliliters of water, and 1 tea egg. No more. Seeing Zhang Tuohai's reply, Su Mu's fingers froze. Indeed, as Zhang Tuohai said, her blueprint has been hanging on the trading channel for a long time, and there are many people asking for the price, but no one can offer food for exchange. However, this food is not enough to eat at all. At least 2 more breads need to be added, and 1 blueprint must be replaced with a full meal. Su Mu tried to resist. I don't have any bread right now. If you're willing to wait, I'll find the bread tomorrow and exchange it with you. Zhang Tuohai looked at the only bucket of instant noodles and a ham sausage left beside him and said. Although crossbows are good, food is clearly more important. Upon seeing Zhang Tuohai's reply, Su Mu looked at her sister who had turned pale due to weakness and gritted her teeth to make a decision. I can give you the drawing first, but you should give me water and tea egg first, and give me 3 portions of bread tomorrow. Su Mu bit his lip and sent a message. After seeing the news, Zhang Tuohai was slightly stunned. Judging from the information, he guessed that Su Mu had reached the point of extreme poverty, otherwise he would not have proposed such mortgage conditions. Sure, but I'm not sure if I can find an equivalent amount of bread. Other foods are also acceptable, right? Zhang Tuohai asked. Of course, I hope you keep your word. Su Mu hung the crossbow blueprint on the trading interface. Zhang Tuohai hung water and tea egg. Transaction reached. Zhang Tuohai obtained the blueprint for the crossbow. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Canned Food and Pigs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Canned Food and Pigs. After obtaining the crossbow blueprint, Zhang Tuohai turned to the manufacturing interface. Detected drawings of crossbows and lightweight tires, with complete resources. Is it manufactured? Okay. 2 drawings showed the disappearance of liquid, and most of the resources thrown on the rear seat were reduced. After a moment, 4 tires and a small crossbow appeared in front of Zhang Tuohai. Lightweight tires. A first-class vehicle accessory that can reduce fuel consumption by 30%. How to install this thing? Do you have to load it onto the car yourself? But I don't have a wrench or a jack, how can I do this? Just when Zhang Tuohai was feeling helpless, the game system gave a prompt. Level 1 accessory lightweight tire detected. Would you like to replace the existing regular tire? Can the system still assist in completing it? Okay. The 4 tires disappeared and then the car shook. The tires have been replaced, it's so easy. Zhang Tuohai had a slight liking for the game system for the first time. Discovered ordinary tires *4, is it decomposed into resources? Can be decomposed into low.grade rubber 20, metal fragments 20, metal parts 16, let's not decompose it for now. Looking at the 4 tires on the back seat of the car, Zhang Tuohai hesitated for a moment and gave up on dismantling. The tire may still be useful in the future, let's leave it like this for now. After handling the tires, Zhang Tuohai stared at the crossbow placed in the passenger seat. A crossbow is only half a foot long, with a handle like a gun handle and a trigger that can be easily used with just one hand. There is a pure leather arrow bag next to it, which contains 10 crossbow arrows shining with cold light. Zhang Tuohai picked up the crossbow and played with it for a while, becoming familiar with its usage. Unfortunately, there are no good targets around to measure the strength of the crossbow. However, judging from the strength of the bowstring, killing a chicken within 50 meters is not a problem. After playing with the crossbow for a while, the sky turned completely dark. The pitch-black sky shrouded the earth like a black pot lid, with only a few sparse stars scattered in the sky, casting a little light. Sitting in the car, Zhang Tuohai felt it getting colder and colder, his hands and feet freezing and trembling a bit. This damn place is so hot during the day, why is it so cold at night? Zhang Tuohai quickly took out his coat from the back seat and put it on. Wearing his coat, Zhang Tuohai felt much warmer on his body. Open the regional channel and find that it is indeed discussing weather issues. Damn it, why did it suddenly become so cold? This is a desert, and the sand dissipates heat quickly. Isn't it common sense for it to be hot during the day and cold at night? But the temperature is too low, isn't it? The maximum temperature now is 15 degrees, and I feel like it's still decreasing. I estimate it will definitely drop below 10 degrees at night. Below 10 degrees, I crossed over in shorts. Is this freezing me to death? Do you have a lighter that I can borrow? I found some wood and lit a campfire to pay it back. Woo-woo, I'm so cold. Which of you has a cotton jacket? I'm willing to exchange bread. After watching the noisy regional channel for a while, Zhang Tuohai closed the channel, tightened his tight coat, and fell asleep. It's not that he is indifferent, but that there are too many people suffering. Even if he wants to manage it, he can't handle it. All he can do is collect more supplies tomorrow and see if he can sell anything. There was nothing to say all night, and the next morning, just as it was getting dark, Zhang Tuohai woke up. Before traveling, his family made soy products, and getting up in the early morning to deliver goods was a common occurrence. I opened the regional channel as usual and took a look. The regional channel is very quiet, and most of them should still be asleep at this time, with only 6 red death notices hanging on the channel. 3 people died from low temperatures, 1 from poisoning, and 2 from car accidents. At this point, the number of people in the regional channel has dropped to 2,706. Zhang Tuohai sighed and took out the remaining bucket of instant noodles, sprinkled with half a bag of seasoning from yesterday. As for the seasoning in this bucket, Zhang Tuohai planned to keep it for later use when he found a pot to cook soup. After one night, about 800 milliliters of water had accumulated in the water collector, barely enough for him to drink today. I hope I have good luck today. Zhang Tuohai took a sip of water, turned the key, and embarked on the path of searching for supplies. After driving 20 kilometers, Zhang Tuohai unexpectedly discovered 2 boxes at once. One white, one blue. The white supply box contains 5 roasted nanas, 5 cans of canned yellow croaker, and 5 liters of mineral water. In the blue supply box, there is a healthy young black-skinned pig weighing 100 pounds. Please handle it with care. If you need to deal with it, please walk around to the back of the box to get your first mobile phone call young black-skinned pig. Seeing the prompt, Zhang Tuohai suddenly came to his senses. He is hesitant to deal with adult pigs for the time being, but he still has the courage to try a piglet weighing over 100 pounds. Moreover, he now possesses 2 major weapons, a crossbow and a crowbar, making it no problem to deal with a young pig weighing only 100 pounds. At the worst, he can also drive and kill the other person. Zhang Tuohai was eager to try. For safety reasons, Zhang Tuohai first pried open the white material box. 5 steaming baked nanas instantly appeared in front of Zhang Tuohai. Zhang Tuohai weighed it and found that the roasted naan was quite substantial, weighing 1 kilogram each. It was almost enough for him to eat, and it was sprinkled with sesame seeds, making his mouth water just by smelling it. It would be even better if there was a bowl of lamb soup. Zhang Tuohai carefully collected the roasted nana, which will be his staple food for the next 2 days. The 5 cans of canned yellow croaker made Zhang Tuohai even more delighted. These cans can provide him with a large amount of oil and salt, which plays an important role in maintaining physical strength. Zhang Tuohai cherished 5 canned fish and hid them under his seat. After handling everything, Zhang Tuohai followed the system prompts and arrived at the back of the blue material box, holding a crossbow in one hand and a crowbar in the other, with a look of readiness. Inserting the pry bar into the gap of the material box, Zhang Tuohai took a deep breath and forcefully pressed it down. With a bang, the material box disappeared and a little black pig weighing over 100 pounds appeared on the road. The little black pig looked at the empty road with a bewildered expression on its face, as if it had not yet realized what had happened. Upon seeing this, Zhang Tuohai dared not neglect and immediately aimed his crossbow at the back of the little black pig's neck. Just as Zhang Tuohai was about to pull the trigger, the electronic synthesis sound of the prompt system suddenly rang again. Move the crossbow shooting direction to the left by 1 inch. Zhang Tuohai was startled by the sudden warning sound and instinctively moved his crossbow to the left, pulling the trigger. The crossbow shot towards the little black pig's ear. Unfortunately, seeing that the crossbow was shot off target, Zhang Tuohai threw his crossbow and grabbed the lever with both hands, ready to charge forward and give the opponent a fierce blow. However, coincidentally, the little black pig seemed to hear the sound behind him and instinctively turned half of its body, looking back. This turn doesn't matter, the crossbow arrow instantly shot into the eyes of the little black pig. Puff! The crossbow arrow pierced through the little black pig's eyes and kept piercing into its brain before stopping its castration. The little black pig fell to the ground and thumped a few times, dying in anger. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Braised Pork. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Braised Pork. Looking at the little black pig lying on the ground, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but open his mouth wide. He originally thought there would be a big battle, but unexpectedly, he solved little black pig with just 1 arrow. You should know that although this is a young pig, it still weighs over 100 pounds. If it weren't for professionals, it would probably take some effort to kill it. If it weren't for the prompt system reminding him at a critical moment, he would probably have had a real battle with the little black pig. How could the prompt system still have such a wonderful effect? Zhang Tuohai found that the prompt system seems to be more than just for checking boxes, it seems to have many uses waiting for him to develop. However, the most important thing now is to decompose the pork first. Zhang Tuohai didn't have a suitable knife on his body, so he could only pull out a crossbow from his arrow pouch to make do. When Zhang Tuohai stabbed the crossbow into the body of the little black pig, a line of prompts suddenly popped up. No suitable peeling or cutting tools were found for the decomposer, which will reduce the amount of meat obtained. Is it mandatory to decompose? Surprisingly, it can still be automatically decomposed. Zhang Tuohai has never killed a pig. Let him use a crossbow to break it down. Who knows what it will look like? Now, the system can actually help him decompose it, which is naturally beyond our expectations. Confirm. Accompanied by Zhang Tuohai's voice, the little black pig disappeared instantly. Obtain 500 grams of pork *60, obtain 4 pig feet, obtaining pig head *1. Looking at the pile of divided meat pieces placed in front of him, Zhang Tuohai didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Roughly estimated, there was actually a loss of 20 pounds of meat, and the pig droppings were also missing. There is indeed no free lunch, it seems that peeling tools will also be on the agenda. After Zhang Tuohai moved all these meats to the car, he suddenly thought of a question. The weather is so hot now, if these pork are left here, they will soon spoil. The only way is to sell it while it's still fresh. In addition, the collection of refrigerators and grills will also begin. Zhang Tuohai doesn't want to eat raw meat. Open the trading channel. Sell 500 G*50 servings of pork, exchange each for 20 servings of various resources, receive various drawings, and have private discussions on other resources. Also, selling 4 pig feet and 1 pig head, private chat if needed. After hanging the transaction, Zhang Tuohai shouted again on the regional channel. The trading channel has sold pork, so please hurry up intentionally. Zhang Tuohai's statement caused a huge uproar in the regional channel. Zhang Tuohai, isn't this the big shot who sold mineral water last night? He actually started selling pork today. He's really a big shot, that's amazing. Boss, is pork cooked? Can you help me roast it before trading? Boss, please give me a piece of meat. I haven't eaten for a day, so I'll trade Rolex with you. In the regional channel, this is the case, and Zhang Tuohai's private message is about to explode. Boss, my voice is sweet and beautiful. I can do any posture, as long as I manage to be full every day. Boss, I have obtained a manufacturing drawing of an iron pot. How much meat can you exchange for? Boss, do you provide cutting services here? A piece of pork is too big, it's hard to bite. It has to be said that the people who are still alive, except for a few idiots waiting to die in their initial positions, have some supplies to some extent. In just a few minutes, Zhang Tuohai had added hundreds of various resources, and the quantity was constantly increasing. 6 different drawings have also been received. They are folding table, planting box, peeling knife, iron pot, mobile stove, and barbecue fork. There were also many other miscellaneous things, such as toilet paper, soap, and water cups, and Zhang Tuohai took a portion of each one. Salt and pepper are even more beneficial. Zhang Tuohai even received a packet of braised meat seasoning. It's so amazing that we caught pigs. We're not short of resources now, right? Su Mu also sent a private message. Fortunately, by the way, this is what I promised you yesterday, Zhang Tuohai said and sent a roasted bread to Su Mu. Yesterday, Su Mu agreed to let him owe 3 loaves of bread on credit, which made him very grateful. Now that there is no shortage of food, he naturally became more generous and gave him a baked bread. So much, you really made a fortune. Su Mu exclaimed in amazement. Lucky, do you have any blueprints? I'll exchange the meat with you, Zhang Tuohai said. Do you have any cooked ones? I can't digest raw ones, and besides, my sister is still sick and can't eat raw things. If it were someone else, it wouldn't have happened. But you came quite coincidentally. I just got the stove, so I can easily make your portion as well. As Zhang Tuohai spoke, he looked at the newly manufactured mobile stove. Mobile stove. Level 1 kitchenware. After adding enough fuel, it can cook on its own and has a stabilizer, so even if there is severe vibration, it will not overturn. With this thing, he can braise meat while driving to search for supplies. Really? Give me 2 pieces of braised meat, I'll trade this for you. Su Mu looked at his pale sister and sent a blueprint to Zhang Tuohai. Dimming glass. Class 1 automotive accessory. It can effectively reduce strong light and lower the temperature inside the car. This thing is not bad. Seeing the blueprint, Zhang Tuohai's eyes lit up. This thing can lower the light and lower the temperature inside the car, making it a godsend in this scorching desert. Moreover, 6 days later will be disaster day, with 2 days of soaring in the sky. 2 suns appear in the sky, and one can imagine how hot the weather will be. Perhaps this dimming glass is the key to survival. However, there is one thing that makes Zhang Tuohai a little concerned. Su Mu has already traded 3 drawings with him in the past 2 days, and the speed of obtaining these drawings seems to be somewhat abnormal. That's exactly what I need. I'll give you an extra pig ear, but stew the meat for a while, you'll have to wait, Zhang Tuohai replied. Okay, then we'll wait for your good news, Su Mu said. Sister, did you just give him the blueprint? Su Chi asked on the side. There's no way, he looks more trustworthy in the regional channel. You know our situation, if you don't supplement with meat, your body won't last long, Su Mu said. Sister, it's me who has dragged you down, Su Chi said with guilt. What are you saying? We'll leave alive, Su Mu rubbed Su Chi's head and said. On the other side, Zhang Tuohai has already supported the mobile stove on the back seat, and the iron pot has also been placed on the stove. Throw the pork, pig feet, and pig head that have not been traded into the pot, add water and marinated meat, and braise them. As for the fuel used, it is traded wood. Zhang Tuohai stuffed in 20 units in one breath, which was enough wood to brine all the pork. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Meeting a living person for the first time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Meeting a living person for the first time. After processing the pork, Zhang Tuohai continued on the journey of collecting supplies. Although he had gained a lot just now, it was still far from enough to survive 7 days with these supplies, let alone disaster day. He must reserve enough supplies to be at ease. The yellow sand is long and the road is endless. Driving on the unchanging road for a short time was fine, but over time, Zhang Tuohai's spirit inevitably became somewhat relaxed and even drowsy. As a result, he looked up and suddenly found a woman standing in the middle of the road. The woman stood in the middle of the road, waving her arms and looking excited. Next to her, there is a rundown car parked. Just like the car driven by Zhang Tuohai, it is old and dilapidated. Zhang Tuohai saw this and stopped the car. However, he kept an eye out and parked the car 7 or 8 meters away from the woman. There is no one to maintain order in this world, no matter how careful it is. Who knows what this woman's idea is? The woman was overjoyed to see Zhang Tuohai stop the car and ran towards him. A woman with no strength in her hands, her only weapon is a pair of nail clippers, and you can defeat her with just one hand. The prompt system provided timely prompts. Stop, don't get any closer, just say anything here. Zhang Tuohai aimed his crossbow at the woman. Although the prompt system has indicated that the other party is not a threat, Zhang Tuohai still remains vigilant. Oh, come on, don't be so cold. We are all people living here, so we should be close and close. The woman blinked at Zhang Tuohai as she spoke. To be honest, the woman is quite beautiful, with big waves, a melon seed face, big eyes, long eyelashes, and an outstanding figure. The Pikachu on the chest has also transformed, and this figure and appearance can be easily found on any website and captured in a few short videos, earning over 100,000 fans. If it had been before, Zhang Tuohai wouldn't mind having a deeper conversation with the other party. However, in this unpredictable world, it's better to save. If you have anything to say, just say it. If it's okay, I'll leave first, Zhang Tuohai said as he scanned his surroundings. Confirm that there are no other people sneaking around. There are no other people around, no one lurking in secret. It seems to have sensed Zhang Tuohai's thoughts and prompted the system to provide an answer. Handsome guy, I run out of gas in my car. Can you lend me some? The woman said coquettishly, casting a seductive glance at Zhang Tuohai. So there's no gasoline left, no wonder it's parked here. Zhang Tuohai nodded at the words. At the same time, I marveled at how brave this woman was, to be so careless in blocking cars on the road. That is to say, if you meet someone with a malicious heart, the outcome is self-evident. Zhang Tuohai has no intention of relying on the strong to bully the weak. However, it is absolutely impossible for him to give gasoline to the other party for nothing. He is neither a lawless villain nor a goddess with a heart for the world. He is just a small person who wants to survive. If you want gasoline, you can, but you need to exchange something. If you want to go for free, don't waste my time. Zhang Tuohai's words made the woman a bit unhappy. Why are you so stingy? Isn't it just a little gasoline? Just lend it to me and I'll give it back to you when I have it. Besides, you have so many supplies, what's the point of sharing them with me? We all come from Earth, shouldn't we help each other? And besides, are you so ruthless, leaving me here as a weak woman? Also, don't you really know me? Don't you watch the live broadcast? As the woman spoke, she looked into Zhang Tuohai's car. Zhang Tuohai kept the rear window open to prevent carbon dioxide poisoning. From the woman's perspective, it is clear to see the piles of supplies piled up in the back seats. Of course, mainly various materials. A gust of wind blew over, and a fragrance of braised meat spread out, making the woman couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Sorry, I don't know you. If you don't have something to exchange, then leave. Zhang Tuohai shook his head. I feel that women are a bit unreasonable. It seems that the other party really has a bit of fame online, but what about that? Want to get his free prostitution resources? Think beautifully. Why are you like this? The woman was a bit angry. She is a somewhat famous anchor who usually sells cuteness to the camera, offers some benefits, and has countless licking dogs to give her money. If you want something, there will be a licking dog to help arrange it. As a result, the invincible move hit a wall with Zhang Tuohai. Who said I don't have anything to exchange? The woman became a bit anxious when she saw that Zhang Tuohai was really leaving. How about I give you my stockings? I guarantee they are genuine and not fake. Puff. Zhang Tuohai almost spat out a mouthful of water. It turned out that the woman in front of me was the one who had been exchanging ***** for things online yesterday. Seeing Zhang Tuohai carefully scrutinizing her gaze, the woman involuntarily took 2 steps back. What are you doing? I'm telling you, I'm not that casual person. Don't worry, I'm not interested in those things. I only need supplies, food, drinks, drawings, and materials. If not, then don't block the way. I have to leave. Zhang Tuohai said and twisted the car key. Don't leave, I have a blueprint. The woman couldn't help but feel a little anxious when she saw that Zhang Tuohai was really leaving. She quickly shouted. Oh! What blueprint? Upon hearing the blueprint, Zhang Tuohai stopped in his tracks. The steel frame car body can double the structural strength of the car body, the woman quickly said. That's pretty good. Zhang Tuohai thought for a moment and realized that even receiving this thing would be useful. Although he killed the woman, he could still obtain the blueprint. Moreover, there is no need to spend any resources. But he doesn't want to do this. He is currently not short of supplies and does not want to go against his bottom line. Why don't you sell on the trading channel? Zhang Tuohai is a bit curious. This kind of blueprint is definitely not lacking in people to purchase. If a woman hangs it on the trading channel, she can easily get rid of it. I've asked, but those people didn't give enough, the woman pouted and said, those people either lack water, food, or gasoline. I can't bear to part with them. So it's like this, Zhang Tuohai nodded. Okay, I won't bully you either. I'll give you 40 units of gasoline, a quarter of a piece of bread, and 300 milliliters of water for this blueprint. These things are enough for you to eat a full meal and explore twice. Whether you can get something depends on your own fate. Zhang Tuohai thought for a moment and offered a fairly fair price. After all, this blueprint is something that increases the strength of the car body, and it will definitely be much more valuable. On this desert night, dangers abound, and there may even be wild beasts lurking around. A more sturdy body can be a life-saving thing in critical moments. Well, I smell the aroma of meat. Can you give me some meat? The woman hesitated and asked. The braised meat is not yet fully cooked, and eating half-cooked meat may cause diarrhea. If you insist on having meat, I can give you 200 grams, but there is no more grilled bread and water, said Zhang Tuohai. Well, let's forget it. How do we trade? The woman asked. Hang the trading channel. The trading channel can clearly see the goods traded by both parties, without worrying about each other's adulteration or contact. It is safe and convenient, and can be considered a rare benefit for players like them. Are you Zhang Tuohai, the one selling water and pork? As she entered the trading channel, the woman naturally saw Zhang Tuohai's name. I'm so stupid. When I saw cooking meat, I should have guessed it was yours. Remember to contact me when you have something good, the price is absolutely fair for both young and old. Zhang Tuohai waved his hand and left first. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Lucky Mermaid Statue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Lucky Mermaid Statue. After driving about 5 kilometers, Zhang Tuohai encountered a Y-shaped intersection. The two highways extend into an endless distance. The road material boxes on the left are quite large, but they all contain ordinary materials. The road material boxes on the right are relatively small, but they all contain advanced materials. The prompt system instantly gave a prompt. Looking at the prompt, Zhang Tuohai's fingers lightly tapped on the steering wheel. He looked at the ordinary supplies behind him. Although he reduced a lot after making some items, he no longer looks up to these ordinary items. Instead of spending time and effort searching for these low-value ordinary materials, it's better to search for precious drawings and higher-value items. He can definitely exchange those ordinary materials through the trading channel. If he had to rely on himself, it would probably take several days to obtain the items that the pig had exchanged in the morning. Sure enough, the scissors difference can quickly accumulate wealth. Zhang Tuohai turned onto the right road. After driving for about 20 kilometers, Zhang Tuohai finally saw a new supply box. Blue. Level 2 material box, containing 100 units of gasoline, 10 liters of water, and a manufacturing drawing. Nice. Zhang Tuohai happily jumped off the car and opened the material box. 40 bottles of 250 milliliters mineral water, 2 barrels of 50-unit gasoline, and a neatly arranged manufacturing drawing are placed on the ground. Zhang Tuohai took the lead in picking up the manufacturing drawings, ready to see what else was produced this time. Lucky Mermaid Statue. Interior decoration, placed inside the car, can greatly increase the amount of drawings obtained. Material requirement: 2 units of intermediate wood, 1 unit of ordinary spirit. Placement requirement: Level 2 vehicles. After reviewing the manufacturing drawing 3 times, Zhang Tuohai took a deep breath of air conditioning. This thing is simply an artifact. In this world, if there is anything that is most valuable, then blueprints must rank among the top. Taking himself as an example, if it weren't for obtaining the crossbow manufacturing blueprint, he wouldn't be able to easily kill the little black pig. If he couldn't kill the little black pig, he wouldn't be able to exchange so many supplies, and he wouldn't be able to eat braised meat when others are even extravagant eating bread. So, drawings are productivity. And how low the production rate of the drawings is, Zhang Tuohai can personally testify. Even though he has a system to accompany him, so far he has not produced a single drawing. From this, it can be seen how low the explosion rate of the drawings is. And this statue can actually increase the explosion rate of the blueprint. It's just a miracle. However, there are a few questions here. What is spirit and what is a level 2 vehicle? Zhang Tuohai quickly closed his eyes and began to communicate with the game system. May I ask what spirit is and how to upgrade to a level 2 vehicle? After killing a beast, there is a certain chance to obtain soul essence. The quality of soul essence obtained varies depending on the beast's level. After owning a vehicle core, the vehicle upgrade option can be activated. With a vehicle core, a regular level 1 vehicle can be upgraded to level 2. How to obtain the heart of vehicles? Zhang Tuohai quickly asked. Destroy other vehicles. The cold sound of the game system made Zhang Tuohai feel like he was struck by lightning. He always thought that all he had to face was natural disasters and various wild animals. Unexpectedly, players who are both survivors are also enemies of each other. Now, this news has not been spread yet, and the regional channels can still be relatively harmonious. But this news will be discovered sooner or later. What will everyone think then? A person with a ruthless heart will definitely have other people's ideas. It seems that we need to be more careful in the future. Zhang Tuohai's heart strengthened its vigilance. At the same time, he also roughly understood why Su Mu could come up with so many manufacturing drawings. Probably obtaining something similar to a mermaid statue. Moreover, she and her sister came together, and driving a car can save more resources. Perhaps they obtained the core of the car at that time, elevating their vehicle to level 2. However, another new question was placed in front of Zhang Tuohai: how to get a car core. Why don't we go back and kill that silly woman? Zhang Tuohai thought for a moment before rejecting the decision. He has just entered the apocalyptic world and cannot bear this heart. Forget it, collect all the other materials first, there will always be a way. Zhang Tuohai loaded all the supplies onto the car and continued driving forward. It has to be said that the quality of the material boxes on the road on the right is indeed much higher. Until noon, Zhang Tuohai gradually found 2 material boxes, one blue and one white. 2 boxes of eggs and a pack of dehydrated vegetables were opened in the blue supply box. 5 barrels of instant noodles were also opened in the white material box. Greatly enriched Zhang Tuohai's food variety. Looking at so many supplies, Zhang Tuohai also decided to indulge. He cooked a bucket of instant noodles, added 2 poached eggs, added some dehydrated vegetable leaves, and sandwiched a large piece of braised meat. He packed a small basin full of it. I didn't expect that in this ghost world, I could also eat the same instant noodles as the cover. Zhang Tuohai took a bite of the soft and juicy braised meat, with a satisfied expression on his face. After finishing a bowl of instant noodles, Zhang Tuohai comfortably leaned back in his chair and let out a burp. This is his first full meal since crossing over. A sense of happiness arises naturally. It turns out that being able to eat enough is also such a happy thing. Zhang Tuohai sighed as he looked out the window at the desert. By the way, how are those people doing? Zhang Tuohai opened the regional channel. Have any of you found something to eat? Can someone give me something to eat? I haven't eaten for 2 days. I'm willing to exchange Rolex. Yo, big brother, are you still standing still? Seeing this big brother, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but laugh. He has been watching this big brother swipe his screen since the first day, exchanging his Rolex for food every day. But no one is willing to trade with him. Anyway, this big brother is willing to drive and explore for a period of time, so as not to fall to such a level. However, having a watch to check the time is also good. Without a specific time, it is really inconvenient. Thinking of this, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but feel a stir in his heart. He flipped through his supplies and then sent a message to the other party. A pound of braised meat, exchange it for your Rolex, and all the gasoline in your car. Anyway, you don't drive it either. It's a waste of gasoline left at your end. Why don't you give it to me? Just 1 pound of braised meat, isn't that too little? I have a Rolex certificate, even if I throw it in the second-hand market, I can exchange it for hundreds of thousands. 1 pound of braised meat is too little, at least 100 pounds, plus 100 bottles of mineral water. The person immediately said. Seeing the other person's words, Zhang Tuohai couldn't help but sneer and say, 100 pounds. Have you woken up? Do you think this is still the old world? Look, can you exchange a loaf of bread for a Rolex? You've been shouting for a day and a half, and you know exactly what the situation is. I bought a Rolex just as a companion. What's truly valuable is gasoline. If you want to exchange it, you can exchange it. If you don't want to, it's okay. After Zhang Tuohai finished speaking, he didn't reply. End of this chapter.